Alright guys, welcome back to Central Hub Emporium, and we do have a special presentation planned for you guys today. I'm going to be talking about why I prefer a wound third string for electric guitar, and I'm just going to make the case for why I think it's better in like almost every like demonstrable category. I think it's better to have a plain third string. No, sorry, a wound third string. The plain third string sucks. That's what this video is about. So I actually have a set of 10s on. This is what most guitarists, when they're starting out, are probably going to start out with a set like this. It's 10s, so it's like a medium to light gauge for electric guitar. Of course, you can get 9s and 8s if you really want those light strings, but this is a relatively light string, a 10. And as you can see here, it has that plain third, or maybe you can't really see it, but it does in fact have a plain third string with a diameter of 0.017 inches, and that's what I'm playing on right now. I've been messing with this for a few days. I actually got another set over at my Strat over here, but I've just been messing with this, and I think I was completely justified in mostly playing wound third electric guitar string sets over the years. I just think it's better, and I'm gonna explain why. But first, we can do like a little bit of history. So back in like the 50s or 60s or whatever, when electric guitars started to become a little bit more commercially available, a little bit more popular, people would complain that this third string was difficult to bend here, because back then the electric string sets would have resembled more like a modern acoustic string set of today, and obviously doing like a full bend on the acoustic guitar can be a little bit difficult, so people wanted something easier to bend with. And you know, as I said, it was more like an acoustic guitar set, so those old string sets did have the wound third, and they had a similar like gauge to these acoustic sets. But what people would actually start to do is they would take the two high strings from the string sets back then and like move them up one, and then for the high E they would add in like a string from like a banjo string set, so they could get something resembling these sets of today, where you get the 3 unwound and the 3 wound strings, and that suddenly makes it a lot easier to bend. So that's like the main case for these plain third strings, is that they're easier to bend. But I'll show you a little bit more later when we switch to the wound thirds. I don't really think that case is legitimate. You just need to spend like a few extra days to build up that muscle memory. Or if you're like 10 years old, just grow up, pussy. But no, I'm like, it is easier to bend for sure. Like, that element is true, but is it like that much easier to bend? I think I can make the case later on that it's perfectly fine to bend with like the wound sets of today. Like right here I have the equivalent set of this one on right now, and we'll throw it on a little bit. So it's the same set, except this one has a wound third. So this has a .017 plain third string or G string, whereas this one has a .018 wound. And I think in practice, stacking up these sets against each other, the G is just going to be like slightly harder to bend on the wound third set, but there's so many other benefits and advantages, and we can get into the benefits and advantages now of having a wound third string by kind of showing this off. So first of all, I feel like tonally, that would be my biggest argument for getting a wound third string. I think tonally it's just off, and if I just play like an open D and kind of move up and down this G string, I think you'll be able to hear it. That G string just sounds really wimpy, especially in a moment when we're going to play it side and side, a full sound demo comparison of this stacked up against like a wound third set. It just sounds so wimpy. And if you're playing like anything like an arpeggio or something, like there is an argument. It certainly depends on like what you're playing, what genre it is, but I think generally like you're just gonna get like a fuller and more like, I guess, accurate sound with the actual wound G, because the The G string was like originally meant to be wound, and this is just something that just kind of happened to accommodate bending, and for some reason it just got like super popular, and now it's difficult to just find a string set that has a wound G string in these lighter gauges. My favorite string set that I've been playing for years at this point is the D'Addario EXL 115W. That's just the 11s with the wound third. That's the one I find to be the most comfortable, have the best tone. I need a guitar pick, all that good stuff. But yeah, I can actually switch over to this to just oh, you probably hear that little noise a little bit. Because this is a set of 12s with a plain third string, which is just fucking ridiculous, but I got it specifically for this video. I would never buy this set otherwise, because it's ridiculous. It was just, with something heavier like this, the wound third string would be standard, but D'Addario makes goofy string sets, which I appreciate. And maybe you can hear a little bit more emphasized. It just sounds wimpy if you're playing like a chord. I mean, it's not a big difference, like it's not going to completely destroy your sound to have a plain third string, but it's one of those things that kind of stacks up, and I've just really, the tone isn't there. It just sounds so much like wimpier and weirder than like a wound third string. A couple other things would be like tuning stability. In theory, with a plain third string, there's like less going on there. The tuning stability would be slightly worse, and as we all know, especially if you're like a Gibson or an Epiphone guy, the G string isn't really doing you any favors in that front in the first place. Of course, the break angle is fucked up with this, so you're already going to get tuning stability, so you're just kind of stacking that on when you go for this plain third string, like. It's kind of out of tune just from that little bit of bending I've done in this video. Honestly, this one isn't in the best shape either at this point. But I do think like the tuning stability thing, that's negligible. It's honestly just which one feels better to you and which one sounds better to you. So I do recommend you go out and try both and check out the sound demo. We're going to get into the sound demo now, and we're really going to be able to hear those differences. And I think side by side, that'll make a better case for this than like me just sitting here and fucking bloviating ever could. So we'll get the sound demo done, and then I'll come right back with the wound third strings and just show off why I like them so much. Alright guys, welcome back. Something I want to mention real quick is that, yeah, it's really not that hard to bend on like these wound third strings. I don't see what the big deal is, honestly, because I played the wound third set for about 3 days. Took it off, threw these bad boys on here. I still got the wound third set saved if I ever need an extra set of strings, but it's really not a big difference. We got like the 18 wound string versus like the 17 unwound string on the plain third set, and it feels about the same. Obviously it's easier to bend with the plain third string, but it's like, it's not that much easier. I don't know. Something's out of tune here. We got the Les Paul going. Fuck. We'll tune it real quick. We're professionals. I'm playing a Les Paul. What the fuck did you expect? But yeah, no, it's not that bad. The difference isn't that like crazy. Like I said, it's definitely easier to bend in the plain third. A little bit too easy for me because I'm just used to playing these wound sets. Typically, I'll play like an 11 set from Diodario with a wound string. That's just like the perfect feel for me. But the set of 10s feels pretty good. I have a little bit more freedom with what I want to do here. So yeah, I'm not seeing like the advantage of these plain third strings, unless of course, you're just partial to the sound of them. I think there's a case that could be made for that. Like, it's just like the classic electric guitar sound is, like most of the records that have been recorded in like the last 40 years on electric guitar will have the plain third string on there, and it does kind of like subtly impact the sound. I will say it wasn't as big of a difference I was expecting. Like, I went back and listened to the sound demo, and like, honestly, it sounded pretty close. I did like the wound third just a little bit better, but they were pretty close, to be honest. But I definitely still dig like the feel and the sound of that wound third. The big thing is at the end, during that tremolo picking part, where I'm like, when I go up there, there's definitely a big difference. There's like a volume disparity with the plain third string, which I forgot to mention earlier in the last take we did. It has to do with like the core wire and the wrap wire. So like your treble strings here, it's just like a steel round string, and obviously we have like the plating that's kind of spiraled around these bass strings here. That just gives it like a more intricate or nuanced sound, something like that. It'd sound kind of weird if these were all just plain strings. I don't think it would sound right, but that has to do with like the core wire versus the wrap wire. It seems like most of the sound going into the pickups that's like picked up by the actual pickups comes from the internal core wire on these bass strings, or in like the wound G string. So like the core inside of this wound G string, it's an 18 wound, would actually be pretty small, which explains why it came up like a bit quieter during the sound demo, during the last one there, versus like the D. It's just like a little bit quieter. It's not really a big deal, but with like the plain third, that bitch was fucking loud, and that would be even enhanced if you're like playing on a Strat or something. Typically these Strats, this one doesn't have it, but usually they'll have like these staggered pull pieces on the actual pickups, and surprise, surprise, the one that's the highest is the one on the actual G string, so that would just add to the volume disparity even more. And when you're trying to play, unless you're using like compression or something, which you don't always want to be using, it's nice to have a balanced set of strings so that you don't just get like this massive volume disparity on the actual third string there, because that was just like, yeah, on the plain third string that was just so loud. So I'd say, here, I'll switch over to the Strat here. So this has like the jazz lights on here. These are the 12s, obviously with the wound third string. Wound third, wound third, wound third. It's definitely, like, it's pretty easy to bend on a set like this. These are the 10s. With the 12s, it does get kind of tricky to, like, you really gotta put some thought into it when you bend on these bad boys. But it can be done. And yeah, I'd say like the thing I really like about the wound third sets is that it's just coherent. Like every string sounds pretty balanced with each other, honestly. You don't really have to like put any thought into making one string sound the same level as the other string. It's just kind of natural. But yeah, I'd say the video's about done here. I think I've got across everything I needed to get across. We don't have like a big outro prepared this time, so just go with see you guys.